Hello everyone. Dr.berkkkaratas. We will talk about traumatic masturbation syndrome. I've made videos about masturbation before. If you haven't watched these, I encourage you to please watch them. Masturbation was self-satisfaction, orgasm. It was called self-satisfaction in Turkish. It is the first sexual experience. We have said many times before that if done properly, a healthy action can cause all kinds of problems if it is not done properly. I also explained how to masturbate properly. It's also watched quite a lot. I wish he was watching a lot more people and a lot more people knew about it. Traumatic masturbation syndrome was first named by Dr. Sank in 1998. But even in books dating back to 1978, traumatic masturbation syndrome was mentioned. So, obviously, he was talking about masturbation being done incorrectly, and it was said that when masturbation was done incorrectly, it could cause such and such a thing. In 1998, Dr. Schenk named it traumatic masturbation syndrome. We've been using it ever since. The definition of traumatic masturbation syndrome is actually as follows: any act of masturbation that does not imitate sexual intercourse is traumatic. I'll give you a few examples a little later, so you can understand better. Our first example and the best and most visible traumatic masturbation syndrome is masturbation by rubbing on the bed, quilt, upholstery, here and there, either rubbing, pressing, or putting our hands between the bed and pressing our penis. This is called prone-type masturbation in medical language. Another is masturbation, which is done without touching our penis over clothes, at work, over panties, over pants, without touching our penis. Another is the form of masturbation in the toilet, in the bathroom, so that no one can see it. The other one is that we can masturbate, we haven't done any of that, but if we're doing it too fast, if it's too fast according to the rhythm of intercourse, then it can be a problem. Again, if we do it with pressure, we normally have to do it with a certain pressure, we have to do it with a certain tightness. If we do this too tightly, of course, there may be problems in the future because there is no tightness in the vagina. Another is that we don't masturbate for hours or minutes by watching a porn movie, so we play with our hands on the penis and then ejaculate. This, in turn, can go into traumatic masturbation syndrome. Of course, technological tools are developing. Some technological toys are starting to be used a lot. The fact that these technological toys work on the penis inappropriately, in an inappropriate amount, by giving too much excessive stimuli can cause the same problem. So what was a man who learned to ejaculate with an excessive amount of vibration? Our goal was to imitate masturbation intercourse, but there is no vibration in the relationship, then the man cannot ejaculate, for example. This can lead to such a problem. Traumatic masturbation syndrome can lead to anything, in my opinion, but in studies, it mostly causes late ejaculation. In other words, most of the men who cannot ejaculate or divorce late have traumatic masturbation syndrome when we investigate. As we can see here, this rate is almost 60%. Erectile dysfunction is one of the most common situations we compare. Almost half of them can have erectile dysfunction. The most important, in my opinion, and the most dangerous, especially in marriages, is preferring masturbation to sexual intercourse. In other words, the person enjoys his masturbation so much that he starts to masturbate more because he does not give pleasure to the relationship. This can lead to the collapse of the marriage, the problem of sexual reluctance and the termination of the marriage. Traumatic masturbation syndrome can lead to anything, in my opinion. I've seen it all because I've seen it all. I've had cases that did it all one by one. Most often, of course, it causes late ejaculation, but erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, inability to enjoy intercourse, not feeling the vagina, the person says that it is as if I am going back and forth in space. The desire for anal sex is very important. It is necessary to ask whether men who want anal sex have made traumatic masturbation syndrome or continue to do so. The biggest reason for this is that in masturbation, which is done under pressure or rubbing, the penis is under excessive pressure. There is no such thing in the relationship. Because the vagina can't grasp the penis that much, If the person has experienced anal sex several times before, he becomes constantly wanting it, because he enjoys it. Otherwise, she does not enjoy herself through the vagina anyway. So what do we do about this problem? Traumatic masturbation syndrome is a behavioral problem. You can only solve the problem of behavior with behavior, education, training and behavior. And this is not a problem that is solved in an instant. In other words, you take this drug, take this movement, 3 days have passed, 5 days have passed. Do this, do that. This is a treatment program that has passed so far, and this program must be followed to the letter. Disrupting the program even once really brings everything back to square one. The first is the period of termination and purification. I call it the period of purification. The period of termination of the action has different names. It takes about a month. For a month we don't have intercourse at all, we don't masturbate, we don't do anything related to the sexual act, the sexual second act. Because the sexual act file, the masturbation file is wrong. First we need to delete it, we need to destroy it. The second action, the right action, is learning and informing. This takes about a month. Why is this important? That's why it's important. Because in this way they ask people who masturbate traumatically. They say, why are you doing this? 90% say I discovered it on my own. He says he found it myself. That's how I enjoy it. That's why I'm doing it, he says. But you say, so-and-so, then they say I did it wrong. Some of them see it from someone and do it. They see it from their brothers, sisters, here and there and do it. Therefore, this learning and information phase takes about a month. The third stage is the stage of implementing the right action. Once we know everything, we are now trying to do the action properly. I don't care if the partner here is or not. We have the op.dr.berk program. Those who have followed us before know. Program for remote ejaculation monitoring. Distance learning program. Here we already have information in op.dr.com. We shared a video of this on YouTube. Since those with traumatic masturbation syndrome already have problems such as premature ejaculation or late ejaculation, we try to overcome this in op.dr.berk. Frankly, before the op.dr.berk program, I try to do a behavioral treatment in this way by having people apply this 2-month period and then applying op.dr.berk. Repeat. Traumatic masturbation syndrome is a treatable condition. But this is not a condition that can be treated with such a drug, take this and that. It's a behavioral disorder. In behavioral disorders, you can only do it by changing your behavior. It is possible to treat. We can do this by installing it in our distance education platform beforehand. If people are willing and desirous, they really have close to 100% success. Thank you.